Welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. Our theme for 2025 is the future of work. Meaning is the new money. In a world shaped by rapid innovation and constant change, the pursuit of purpose and impact has never been more important. I'm Dr. John Dentico, your host, bringing over 30 years of experience in leadership, strategic thinking, and purpose-driven innovation. Here, we tackle the pressing challenges of our time, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the growing need for meaning in the workplace. Together, we'll uncover how leaders can ethically integrate AI to enhance decision-making and keep humanity at the heart of their organizations. Remember, amidst all the technological advancements, in the end, it's always about the people. This podcast is your resource for actionable tools, thought-provoking discussions, and inspiring stories. It's time to go beyond leadership development and focus on leadership impact, creating workplaces where people thrive, innovation flourishes, and meaning truly becomes the new currency. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let's throttle up and dive into today's episode. Hello again and welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. It's me, Dr. John Dentico. With me today is Kelley Thornton. Kelley Thornton is a mission-driven entrepreneur, leadership thinker, and co-founder of Tiege Hanley, a direct-to-consumer men's skincare brand with over $100 million in lifetime sales and more than 500,000 customers worldwide. Known for his humble, empowering leadership style, Kelley believes that great leadership isn't about charisma. It's about building teams where people contribute, collaborate, and share a passion for a meaningful mission. After nearly 2 decades in corporate America, Kelley transitioned into entrepreneurship, first founding Purchase Point LLC, a global in-store design firm, and later launching Tiege Hanley with YouTube personality Aaron Marino and business strategist Rob Hoxie. Together, they disrupt the men's care market with a subscription-based model built on transparency, simplicity, and trust. Kelley's real-world insights into e-commerce leadership and startup growth, combined with his candid, values-based approach, make him a compelling guest for any conversation about scaling with integrity, empowering people, and redefining success in today's business world. And I am truly pleased to have him here with me on the podcast this morning. Good morning, Kelley. How goes it?
Great. That sounds like a guy I want to talk to.
I mean, I read my own bio and go, who is that guy? Do I know him? Sometimes I try to be humble and those kinds of things, but
yeah, you live in the moment, you live in the day to day and you grind it out.
Right.
You think you forget about all the things you've accomplished until you hear someone read about it. Thank you very much for those kind
You're
words.
welcome. And you can always try to add a little bit of humor in there as well to keep people smiling. So Kelley, let's begin with this question and my personal touch in the podcast this year. And that is, tell me a bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? And what were some of the most fundamental influences in your life?
I grew up in Maryland. I live in Chicago. I've lived here for 32 years, so I consider myself a Midwesterner. I'm Chicago, and I've lived downtown and raised my family in downtown Chicago. So I'm an urbanite. I went to college at University of Connecticut, so I lived in the Northeast and the East. And I love that part of the country. And growing up there, experiencing the Chesapeake Bay and the ocean. I moved to Chicago because my company asked me to move out here and start a territory. But I always had the entrepreneur bug. I was always interested in creating something of value that helped people in whatever problem they were trying to solve. I was very interested in having my own business. What created my motivation is early on, lots of gritty challenges in the early part of my life. That's what I think creates great leaders, hard workers, successful people that are highly motivated by having challenges early on in their life that they have to overcome. A lot of mine was related to my parents and their divorce and moving and, change and adaptability and those type of things.
I agree. I have been very blessed with several podcast guests who've endured amazing challenges in their early life. From an Iranian refugee who left when the Shah fell, emigrated to Canada. Now his name is Mickey Ballou, and Nicky is one of the top of the line success coaches going. Arias Westenberry, whose both parents were incarcerated at the same time. His mother got out, got 2 jobs. Today he's one of the most successful digital marketing guys. I tell people all the time that I'm just blown away by these people. And I say, you know what? Never once did I ever get the sense or hear a whisper of, I was a victim. Somebody did it to me. They just got up the next day, figured out what needed to be done, and endured. I'm sure you've heard this. There's 2 options that a human being has, right? Fight or flight. You come in contact with a difficult time in your life, you can either run away or you can fight your way through it. But there are times when you can't fight and you can't run. And there's a third option, and that's called dig in and endure. Just deal with it and hang on and look for the sun to come out again at some future times. I appreciate the struggles you went through. It's made you the person that you are. Let me ask you this, and we may be a little bit redundant here. After nearly 2 decades in corporate America, what finally pushed you to leap into entrepreneurship? And how did your previous experience shape the way you lead now?
Yeah, it's a great question. So number one is I was just frustrated with the management and the vision of the company that I work for. I work for a great company. I work for a massive global packaging company called International Paper. They dominate in industrial packaging and consumer packaging around the world and many other things. It's very hard to work at a corporation where there's 50 or 100,000 people and understand your sense of purpose in these organizations. And when you look around and you're a very driven individual and you see leadership that you don't have the level of respect for that you'd like, it's hard. And it really drove me to want to do my own thing and to care more about what it was that we were trying to accomplish. And so I was very driven from early. The entrepreneur bug was in me early on. I just wanted to go out on my own. And I was thinking, if I can make millions and millions of dollars a year for the people that I'm working for, if I could only make a fraction of that for my own entity, I could probably live a pretty good life providing for my family, my children, and the things I needed to do as a father, and made the leap into entrepreneurship. To answer your question, John, you have to have a level of confidence in yourself and be motivated to accept extreme challenges as an entrepreneur. Extreme challenges.
I agree. As we grow and endure challenges, Arias told me something spot on. The more challenges you face, the greater your bandwidth to deal with challenges. I love that comment. The greater your bandwidth to deal with the greater challenges. And you recognize, I think, and certainly I felt this myself, I can do the job. I know when I get into a situation, I'll be able to make my way through it. That's the real lesson of perseverance. I have this thing where I'm saying to people, not only should you hire on values, the values of an individual, but hire on heart. Hire on heart. We all know what that looks like. My example is there's a football team, they're down by 3 touchdowns, there's 5 minutes to go, and somehow they come back and win the game. And you say, you know what? That team has heart. Those guys have heart.
I love what you're saying. I think it's really relative. I think it's apropos to today's younger generation. There's a lot of me in this most recent generation of employees that I've hired. You'd call it heart. I call it kind of grit or problem solving, which is, I'm sure we're talking about the same thing. A lot of people have a very hard time solving problems. In a business like ours, which is less than 100 million in annual revenue, you need to solve problems every day. Everybody needs to solve problems, not just our senior leadership team and our mid-level management. We're in such a dynamic state of business that you need to have that grit, that heart to solve problems, or you're just not going to be successful.
Let me ask you this. One of the things I'm talking about more these days in terms of presentations or different things with different podcasts is this notion of pilot programs or rapid prototype. In other words, we want to get something to market. In your case, I might say, we might get something to market, but we're really not sure what it's going to look like in its final form, but we need to go at it and accept that we may make some mistakes on the way, but we're going to get there. I'd love to have your ideas, your comments on your perspective on rapid prototyping.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've made those mistakes. We all have made those mistakes where we've gone to market, spent a lot of time and energy, a lot of human capital, a lot of financial capital, put stuff in market, and it wasn't the right decision. It was okay, but it wasn't the right decision. And there's a number of reasons why that happens. Ultimately, you want to get into market with something that you can test without being over leveraged. It'll hurt your P&L if it doesn't work out. You cannot take big swings and then them not be successful. So I'm gonna tell you two important things from my perspective. Number one is focus. Going to market with something just because it's sexy or flashy or the industry is doing that. If the industry is already doing it, it's a strong possibility you've already missed the wave. So trying to chase what other people are doing and rushing to get something out there is probably not a good idea. It probably will dilute the focus of what your company should be. The narrower the focus, the better chances of success you have. Number two, you need to ask your customers first before you spend $1 on bringing a product to market. You really need to talk to your customers. You can do that so rapidly. In weeks or months, you can have a very strong hypothesis and pressure check that hypothesis through a series of conversations with customers about whether or not what you're doing is truly a viable option for your business. And once you've decided to greenlight something like that, to put a go or no go on it, even if it costs you more money, you have to go out in the most basic, minimal way, minimal viable product that you can get out there. It's a mistake to go out with something that's halfway or 75 or 100% baked. It'll cost you too much, and it could put you in a position where you can't recover from.
Right. It's important to get to market in the right way. Let me ask you this next question. Bill Tiege Hanley, in partnership with a YouTube influencer and a strategist.
Yes.
What has the collaboration taught you about modern brand building and creating a mission-driven company culture?
That's a darn good question, John. First off, getting partnerships right is a really hard thing. I've gone at businesses alone and I've gone at businesses with partners. When you're with partners and you have a very good partnership, it can be fantastic. It's just like a marriage. It's very challenging. Your hope with a partnership is that you bring in a variety of talent that one individual themselves don't necessarily have. And your hope is that someone provides something to the business that others can't have. In the case of Hanley, we needed a voice in the market when we started our business. We needed to be able to connect consumers. And there's a few ways of doing that. You either do it organically, so you get people to talk about your product without paying for it, which is super hard. You have to have something so sexy, interesting, and compelling for someone to talk about it, or it provides such an amazing solution to a problem that people have that they want to constantly talk about it. Or you need to pay for it, which is very expensive to buy customers, or you need to have a microphone that you can talk to people about. We, fortunately, through Aaron Marino and his conversation with men, we're a men's skincare company, his conversation with men was about how to live a great life as a man, what you should and shouldn't do. What is the best way to interview? What is the best way to, how many times a week should you be working out? Should you text a woman back right after your first date? All of these things that guys are interested in. And Aaron had the ability to reach millions of guys on these topics. And these topics are very relatable to what we're trying to do, which is help as many guys look and feel amazing when they get up in the morning, wash their face with a proper face wash, and put a moisturizer on that has SPF that protects them from the sun's rays. They feel better about themselves. Studies showed people that get up and make their bed feel better about themselves. So when you get up and take care of yourself, you do something for yourself before you make coffee for your wife or take the kids to school or work out, you feel good about yourself and you can have a good day. And that's part of our mission. And Aaron was really talking about those type of things. And my other business partner, Rob, was technically oriented and understood what it took to develop a digital first company. He brought that to the table. It's amazing.
I'm very curious to ask, I talk all the time about a multi-generational workforce, right?
Yeah.
Have you in any way been able to plot or chart the ages of the people that use your products?
Yeah. It's both a blessing and a curse. It's fantastic. It's a marketer's dream to have such a large audience of customers. We're well over 600,000 customers, almost 700,000. The biggest cohorts of our customers are 18 to 25. Of those 600,000 plus customers, 18 to 25 is the largest segment, but 18 to 31 is half of our customers. That means we have over 300,000 customers that are 31 to 70. So we have a huge cohort of customers. We're also super fortunate because we're talking to right down the middle of America. We're not military grade skincare. We're not made for a specific percentage of the population. We have guys in all categories in America: Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, young, old, bodybuilders, doctors, and professional people. It's great. We are very fortunate to have a fantastic base of customers.
It must create sort of a complex message
Yes.
for you. If you're dealing between 18 and 25, you can really target that group with a specific type of messaging. But because you have such a wide acceptance of your product amongst different age groups, I'm sure it must confound the marketing people when they're looking at how do we develop a unified message.
Yes.
Well, I'd love to hear your comments on
Yeah,
that.
saying it's kind of both a blessing and a curse, right? Because it's very difficult. I'm in my late 50s now, and to understand exactly how a guy from 18 to 25 is thinking and feeling and what they're saying. I was there once, but it's a different ballgame today. What unifies the message across the whole thing is no matter where you are on your skincare journey, it's really important that you get started and maintain a healthy routine in your life. We do talk about skincare. We talk about you putting SPF on. Skin cancer is the number one cancer of all men. It's on the rise and also the easiest to cure and prevent. And so we talk about a message of prevention. We talk about a message of looking and feeling amazing no matter how old you are. No matter where you are on your skincare journey, we have an easy, uncomplicated solution for you. That's how we're able to bridge the age divide.
I'm sure it's a continuing issue, one that taxes your marketing folks every once in a while. Let me go to another question if I can. Subscription-based models are powerful, but challenging. What lessons have you learned about keeping customers loyal and engaged over time in a competitive market?
We are outstanding at a membership model. I really think it is one of our top 1 or 2 core competencies. Subscription models work really well financially for businesses, but they're very difficult, right? And what makes them difficult is for us, not only do we need to loosely, I'll use this word loosely, convince a guy that he needs to embark in skincare. We also, our other core competency is routine. So it's not just about washing your face, but moisturizing in the morning, washing your face and moisturizing at night. Our skincare systems provide a routine. Now, you don't have to buy the routine, but that's the core of our business. Number 1, you have to do skincare. Number 2, you have to do a routine. And number 3, you need to purchase it on subscription. So when you think about the challenges of marketing and selling to guys, the concept of needing to do skincare, needing to follow a routine, and needing to do it on subscription, those are big challenges. To answer your question, if you can get subscription right, guys really do enjoy it. And how do you get it right? You get it right by making it pain-free for customers to do business with us. And we just make it super simple. Our mentality is we're not here to chain somebody to a subscription. That's the goal of a lot of companies. I love the Wall Street Journal. I read it every day. Try to sign up for a subscription, cancel, and they're always showing you a lower deal. It takes you 45 minutes to cancel something. You have to meet the customer where they want to be met, which is we just make it super easy. Someone calls up, they don't want to be on the subscription, no problem. That's fine. Don't be on a subscription. You want to buy one time? Buy one time. If you only want to buy one product, buy one product. It's no problem. We want to make it easy for guys. We want to give them incentives to stay on subscription and keep a routine going. We make it easy for them to modify that routine, to skip that routine, to change things, to add stuff. We make it super easy. If they're unhappy, they just call, we fix it. They text us, we fix it. They email, we fix it. We're not here to chain anybody to it. And we give them great perks for being a member and committing to taking care of themselves. We have huge perks for that. So that's our mentality around subscription.
I truly appreciate that. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to cancel the subscription and I had to walk through 12, it seemed like 22 steps in order to get away from these people. I've had enough. I don't want to use this process. A lot of times the subscription stuff that I subscribe to is on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Because it's a trial and error for me. Let me try this tool.
Right.
Maybe a little bit more expensive. That's okay. I don't mind.
Yeah.
But I want to try this tool. I want to try this software product. I want to try this podcast studio system and see if I like it and see what else is out there. And then basically go back and say, okay, I've had enough of this one. I think I'm going to go with this one. So for me, I think it absolutely makes perfect sense to do that.
There you go. People forget about that they're on subscription and everything else, and it's fine. They call up and they say, we give them their money back. We do whatever they want. We take 1,000 tickets a day in our customer experience team. And
that's great.
People call up ready to argue. We don't argue with them.
That's right. Why?
We don't argue with them.
Right.
Dr. John, you're unhappy? No problem. Keep that box. We'll give you your money back.
Yeah.
Call us when you're ready. So,
and that matters to people. It matters to people because they may be a return customer in the future. They will come back. They'll say, hey, you know what? Those guys treated me like a human being and not like another number on their docket.
We fire customers too. I mean, we have some customers that are so ridiculous about what their expectations are. We literally say to them, here's a coupon code for our biggest competitor. Go call Keels. We like that brand. Here's discount code to try them for 20% off. And hope you enjoy them because you're not our guy. And that's okay.
It's funny you should mention that. I can't remember his name, but I had a guest on who ran an IT company, marketing an IT company in Spain. And, walk the walk about values-based systems and caring for the people. And they had a client that was killing them. That was just absolutely devastating the team. They were at a meeting one day, and one of the women workers stood up and said, you're not doing what you say you're all about. She laid out how this client was taking so much time and killing them. It was beyond their ability to bring a smile to this person's face. They let him go. They told him, you're looking for somebody else. There's nothing I can do to help you. And I tell people all the time, you got to understand something, that one of the most powerful words on the planet is no. No, we're not going to do that. No, that's not who we are. I'd love to get your reflection on that.
That is, if you are a leader in a company, executive team, CEO, president, founder, it's the first word you need to learn. And you need to get really good at it. And it takes a long time to get good at it. If you're a real caring, empathetic leader, that word's a really hard word. It's very different. And if you're a founder of a company where a lot of people have given their heart and soul to the company and have been with you on the journey, that word is very hard to use. So that is probably one of the most important words as a leader to feel comfortable with. And not only that, you need to actually monitor how frequently you practice the use of that word. You need to be very acutely aware of your use of no, how frequently you do it, and how effective it is as a leader.
It's so funny you should say that. I'm on this kick now about the importance and value of a succinct mission statement. The mission statement really is a yes statement. Yes, this is who we are. Yes, this is what we do. Yes, this is where we go. I always say it's got to be one sentence. It's got to be so right on the money, because the backside of it, Kelley, is it's also a no statement. It says, no, we don't do that. No, we don't care about that. In your experience, Companies today still have mission statements 7 paragraphs long. And you say, what are you doing? Well, they're saying yes to everything. They want to be loved by everybody. I see the smile on your face. I know exactly what you're thinking. We do everything to everybody, and in the end, you become nothing to everybody.
Correct.
I'd love to get your perspective on that as well.
Yeah, I was speaking about that earlier, John. I think you're right. The more focus you can have, as long as your TAM is still significant enough that you can see growth to fulfill the financial mission of the company, the tighter your mission is, the more focused you are on one thing. It says, this is what we don't do. Our goal is to help men look and feel amazing. That is our simplified mission. We're not mental health care coaches. We're not relationship coaches. We're just helping guys look better and feel more confident. That's our goal. So the more you can have your mission focused, the easier it is. We have these meetings all the time with what we call our business channel lead. Wholesale is a channel, meaning being in Target and CVS and Nordstrom. Influencers a channel. Organic social is a channel. So we just had a channel meeting yesterday on our outbound channel, which is primarily SMS, text messages, DMs, email. What is the mission of this channel? So we had an 1.5-hour meeting where we did an audit on all the work that's done there. The original comment that I made to the team is, help me get grounded. If you could say it in one word, what is the mission of this? What are we trying to accomplish in this channel? What is the 1 or 2 things that we're trying to accomplish? What is our North Star and how we're measuring them? To have a succinct mission and succinct KPIs around them is the difference of being successful and failing.
I agree. One of the things I'm talking to audiences about, especially young people, is meaning is the new money, right? Meaning is the new currency. That's what people are looking for, especially among the Gen Zers and folks like that. And I tell them, look, if you go to one way to find meaning is look at the mission statement of an organization. If it's 7 paragraphs long and you have the capability, move on. Just go someplace else, because there is no place for you here, because they don't even know who they are. I want to tell you this great story that I have about the most powerful mission statement I've ever seen in my entire life.
Love to hear it.
You ready?
I'd love to hear it. I'm going to write it down.
Okay. I was a young naval officer. I was on my way from the oldest ship in the Navy to the newest ship in the Navy. Went from an old beat-up World War II destroyer to the newest ship in the Navy. Before I got there, I had an interim time of 2 weeks before I went to my next Navy school I was going to. So they put me aboard the newest ship, which was the lead class, the USS Spruance at the time. I was going to number 3, Kincaid. I was rummaging around the wardroom one day, and every wardroom on a Navy ship has a little library. So I was looking around the library, looking what kind of books they have here. And I saw this really thin book. I wonder what this is. I pulled it out. I opened it up, and I was stymied. And what I held in my hand was the operational order signed by Admiral Nimitz to the Pacific Fleet in World War II. Paragraph 1. You will meet the enemy and destroy them. Paragraph 2. Does anybody not know what we're going to do? Does anybody not understand what we're all about? And I think this is important. I think it goes to some of the points you've already made. A lot of people think mission statements is for the outside world. This is who we are. Instead, what I tell people is one of the most significant reasons you have a mission statement is for the people who work inside the company. This is the galvanizing spirit. When Nimitz signed that out, he was signing it out for our guys. He was saying, this is what we're going to do. And I want everybody to be in alignment with this. And how we carry it out remains to be the decisions of the fleet commanders and the commanders in the field. But this is what we're going to do. I'd love to get your ideas on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant, right? So it actually can be a double-edged sword. We do 3-year planning documents. We do 5-year planning documents every 3 years. So we do a 5-year plan every 3 years. We go back and make sure at the end of 3 years, whether or not we're still on track and make any tweaks to that plan. Last year, in the beginning of 2023, I gave it to the executive team in the company, and I said, this is what we're going to do. These are the 5 pillars of growth over the next 5 years. When you have highly functioning teams, when you have highly functioning team leaders and you give them a very specific mission, be careful because they're going to execute on it. They're going to work really hard at it. If you're clear to them what their mission is, they will develop a great team around them to execute on that mission. If you're clear about it, goal, and have great leaders, they will build great teams, and those great teams will fulfill that mission. Be careful about it because you'll be like, whoa, what's going on here? You guys are spending money, you're doing this and that. And they're like, hell yeah, that's what you told us to do. In January 2024, you said this is your mission. You need to be clear about what you're telling people to do and what your mission is. And you better understand the consequences, because if you are super clear to your people about what the mission is and you hire great leaders, they will build great teams and that mission will get fulfilled. So you better know what you're asking for, because it will have significant consequences to your organization, hopefully positive, if you get the mission right.
I couldn't agree with you more. There are times when you have periods of adjustment, when you bring people in and say, how are we doing here? Should we change things a little bit? Should we tweak it a little bit in this direction? I think you have to keep in touch with the progress. Yeah. You may find that you run up against something and say, maybe we need to come left or right a little bit about 10 degrees and try a different pathway.
Yeah, we had that problems, John. We did, because while everybody executed on the team last year, or in 2025, and the economic environment is very different. And so now we're saying we did all these things. Where's the revenue recognition associated with that? When are we going to recognize revenue from these activities? And if we're not going to have revenue recognition for the investment that we're making in these 5 areas, maybe we should put some of this on pause. Maybe we should reevaluate how much investment we should be making in each one of these core growth plans. You need to be careful. And you do need to, like you just said, check in on it and make sure that it's the right thing.
Yeah. I want to ask you this question because it's sort of like in my bailiwick. I'm really curious to see your response to this. Your approach to leadership aligns with the idea that it's not about charisma.
Correct.
But how did you develop that philosophy, and how do you apply it in your company today?
I developed that philosophy through failure. I've realized there's lots of different ways to communicate and inspire people. One of the first things we need to do, I said earlier that felt that I had the right amount of confidence to run a business, which led me to leave corporate world. You know, you got to be careful, because confidence can also be masked as arrogance or cockiness. So you got to figure out how to put all that in check. You can be by yourself at the top. You need to put your ego in check. And you understand that you're dealing with humans. You need to be empathetic about what motivates people and what makes them want to stay with an organization through ups and downs. So I think being empathetic and being a good listener and putting your humility in check are all ways that you can be. You don't have to be the most charismatic leader. You just need to be really in tuned and hear what people think. And you need to be clear on your mission. You need to be empathetic as a leader, especially today. I mean, I think this is probably more so than, in my career, since the changes of COVID and the impact that had made on people, on their mentality and their vision of what's important in their lives. Leaders need to be unbelievably empathetic. It's especially hard for highly driven, kind of like A personality people. It's very hard to slow down and pay attention to everybody else.
I say charisma's nice, but in the end, it's all about trust.
I'll say.
We're getting close to the end, so I'd like to ask you, as you probably well know by now, my world famous question. If you had a magic wand and you could wave it at any issue or problem you see in your organization or in the work world, what would that problem be, and why did you choose that?
Yeah, I would make sure that you surround yourself with people that really understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Just because they're great at business or they're great at a specific skill set, you need leaders, really, CEOs, presidents, founders, executives, they need people around them to help them. Everybody needs to be heard. I have confidence you can do it. And if you fail, I've got your back.
Yeah.
And so, for a leader, a CEO or founder or CCO, there's very few people around them that they can rely on to help them along the way in their journey. So my magic wand would be to make sure that if you're a founder or CEO, you have some people that really understand your business. They can't just be good business people. And you feel like that they will support you and have your back when times are tough, because it's going to happen over and over again. So my magic wand would be to have spent more time getting the right people in an advisory role early on in my career.
That's great advice. Surround yourself with great people, knowledgeable people, people who understand what you're trying to do and where you're going. And we all go down the track together.
You got it.
Listen, this has been an absolutely spectacular episode. I really and truly appreciate your time today, Kelley. I wish you and everyone at Hanley all the greatest success. Another 700,000
Thank you.
subscribers for sure. I can't say how much it means to me to have you on the podcast, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you so very much.
And for all your listeners, go get it. Make things happen. Go out, face the day, make things happen.